for today's webinar, what we're here all about is, of course, going to be the top 5 for the reports in the challenge. So we're going to be going through the top 5. We're going to be commenting on them, giving our honest opinion about what certain things we like, what we think is good, but maybe could be improved with this, that, or something else. We're going to have separate time, of course, if there is going to be enough time at the end for a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, make sure to ask them. And regarding the questions, as always, make sure to post them in the Q&A section of the chat. The reason for this is because in regular chat, if at some point it becomes a little bit too active, it's kind of easy for us to miss questions. If it's in the Q&A section, it's a lot easier for us to go through them and make sure we answer all of them, or at least know what questions were being asked, and then afterwards we can follow up on them. And once we do that, once we go through the all top 5 submissions that are going to be, of course, in random order, we're going to announce the winner, which is the most important thing about it. Now, before we jump in, just a quick reminder, guys. These challenges are on monthly basis. So every single month, you have an opportunity to participate in a new challenge. The data sets are randomly generated, this depending on what kind of we're feeling at that time or what sort of online resources we find available to us. And one thing I wanted to tell you guys here is as well, if you have any particular topics that you want to have a data set for, if there's any sort of particular analysis that you want us to kind of provide for you, make sure to tell us that in the feedback forms. Because the more information you give to us, the more interesting we can make the challenges and the environment for you. If you don't tell us anything, it's kind of hard to guess what you need. It's very difficult, trust me. So the more information you give to us, the easier it is for us to create something that you're actually looking for. So that helps us to also to create the data sets, create the challenges, create also some sort of difficulties in the data sets itself. So there's something for you to figure out or fix. So just let us know about everything and we'll try to adapt to anything that you put out there.
Actually, if you
go ahead.
submit the form, you enter in a book by pack draw. So just by filling up the form, you can win a book from pack.
So don't forget, guys, right? It's a freebie. I mean, you don't lose anything. So, and the feedback form is like 3 or 4 questions. That's it. We're not asking for an encyclopedia. It's not a research paper. No, it's a quick survey that we just want to understand how are you feeling, if we're doing the right thing. Because if you're gonna tell us that everything here sucks, well, we just gonna have to do something else probably, because doing the same thing all over again, if nobody kind of benefits from it, there's no point of doing it. So we want to make sure that this is beneficial for everybody here. All right, without further ado, I guess we can start off with one of the first submissions. Yep, sounds good.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's go. Let me just switch the screens that I'm sharing. Entire screen using this one, hiding this one. So the first submission that has gotten into the top 5 comes from Ananya B. Mishra. So congratulations to you. And let's open up the report and take a closer look at it. So what we're going to be doing when we're going through the reports is there are going to be 2 primary sort of speakers about it. And if the third person wants to add something from their side, they can, of course, do that. But this is just to make sure that we can cover every single report, right? Because trust me, guys, we could talk about one report for half an hour, but then there's not enough time to talk about everything else, right? We just want to make sure that everybody gets a little bit. All right, so for this one, I don't know, David, maybe you want to go ahead and tackle the first one. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's lots to like. I think I do like the color of the sort of the game titles at the top. One thing I do, I'm always obsessed by sort of straight lines. And one of the things I see here is, for example, you've got a nice line for the first 3 for the names, and then Plants to Zombies sort of jumps up. So you've got it over 2 lines. So I would probably like to see them all just sticking, because it just creates a bit of a wavy line. But I mean, there's lots to like. I like the sort of consistent color theme. Slight bit of misalignment when you've got the first chart on the left, highest average rating by developer, and then the next 2 charts, the chart titles are at a higher level and they look to be in a smaller font. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, the chart titles, but they're just, that chart title, the middle one, is almost attached to the button, etc. and stuff. So One thing I did notice is the App Insights button in the top. I found that button it was a bit hidden. I thought it needed to be a bit more sort of, I think you almost slightly lose it in the color scheme slightly. But no, there's lots of like. I think just good use of spacing. There's not too many visuals on it. So yeah, it was good. I mean, some of those buttons. If you just go back there. I didn't like quite how maybe some of the buttons are sitting right on the top. Just without the spacing and stuff. I don't know if that was intended. I just thought maybe there could be a bit of space created between the top of those buttons, and maybe make the buttons a bit thinner, etc. But no, there's lots to like in this one. So, and then at the bottom, I mean, you've got on the bottom left, each game can have multiple subgenres. I just find it that I would like that visual to have finished exactly where the other visual finished. So it's another line, I guess. But it's there's lots to like. I like it. It's consistent and it's a good first report.
All right. From my side, one of the first things that I noticed when I opened up the report is just kind of going through things. And these icons, well, they represent icons, right? Nowadays, as soon as you see an avatar, as soon as you see an icon, what do you want to do? You want to interact with it. And then you hover over it, and it actually tells you it's non-interactive.
Yeah.
But if you click on it, it actually takes you to something else. So I got a little bit confused there. Right, it's not a big issue. You can easily fix that. But it's, again, guys, remember, it's the small things that make out the whole experience. So just make sure that you align these things. If it's non-interactive, then make sure that also clicking on it, for example, doesn't do anything, because otherwise it's giving me two types of information, basically. The other thing is, when I started to look at these buttons, for example, these are field parameters, which is great. We're seeing more and more people starting to use them, and also in one of our previous webinars, we talked with our CEO, Yanis Wolbergs, and he also explained how much he's investing into field parameters. It's because it allows you to have visuals become a lot more flexible and dynamic. Previously, we had to work with different bookmarks. We had to figure out, okay, what exactly am I going to put into the visual? Nowadays, you can use field parameters as either these sort of buttons where you switch between specific ones, where you give them as slicers so the user can pick and choose basically what he's seeing based on what. So you can create one visual which is as flexible as 10 or 20 different visuals. So field parameters is a nice touch. But if you look at on the right-hand side, now this was the most confusing part for me. All what? The slicer needs a title. Sure, I can open it up and I can understand, okay, so that's some sort of genre or something, but the first initial information is just all. Cool. All what? And adding a title, again, like I said, a lot of these fixes that we're telling you about is not going to be a difficult one. It's a quick fix. It takes you a couple of seconds, but it does make a lot of difference. Because you want to make sure that the user just understands what he's seeing and how to use it. The information overlay highlights these sort of specific blocks, but I would probably say that in this particular sort of scenario where everything is in similar shades and similar colors with white and this greenish blue color, the colors and the highlighted parts kind of start to get lost in a sense. Because it seems like you're trying to cover something here on the back instead of sort of like emphasizing on it. Here, you're just cutting them out. I would probably I'll probably use some sort of highlighting or, even creating simple boxes to kind of highlight certain areas or something like that. This just didn't feel like it's fully finished. That's the first impression that I had for it. But I still like it because the main idea about having these sort of information panels is to give additional information to the user. So that's a good approach. What I would have probably done as well on the visuals is I would have gone with a little bit of pre-filtering. Now, what I mean by this is if we take a look at, for example, this combo bar right here, right? We're switching between different field parameters and we're almost plus minus looking at the same amount of columns. But one of the things about the ZoomCharts visuals is that you can freely start to move them around. So at some point, one user might do this, right? And now the whole report is just going to freeze because you're having all those individual developers there. So what I probably would have done here is went with maybe like top 10 developers. You would still have the possibility to, for example, filter out by rating, filter out by specific, for example, price point if you have it, but you wouldn't have hundreds of different categories straight away pushed into the visual. Because one of the things you have to remember, guys, is every single thing that you have within your report, you have to take into account how is it going to affect my performance? How is the visual going to act? And you can easily, trust me, break visuals or break reports when you have a lot of different categories and the visual itself has to recalculate everything dynamically. So just be careful with these sort of approaches. It's, like I said, it's not a bad thing. But for example, right now, you can even see I just broke it, because there's just too many things coming in straight away from different perspectives. And I don't have a bad machine. I have a pretty decent one. Even still got hung up for a second. So that's one of the things. The other thing is when we're talking about different bits of information, I like the fact that you kind of went with the monochrome approach where you have everything in same base color. But I feel that some things should be more important than the others. So there should be a way on how you emphasize on them a bit. Whether it's, for example, showcasing all the developers, but highlighting the top 3, for example. When you're going around here, the one thing that I would probably do a little bit differently is what's rating -1 or age group, right? Since you're going with different ratings, I'm guessing these are the ones that had no rating at all, but then rename it to not applicable or not specified or something. Don't do -1. So that's one of the things. Everything else seems fine on this. So if we go to the append side, I think this one was okay, with the exception of, and this is not just in this report, guys, make sure that you always double check your interactions. Because with a single click, I can just make everything else completely obsolete. It's not a bad thing.
Filtering, sorry, David.
No, go ahead.
Filtering is just putting filters in there and let it be. Actually, filtering is an art and it's a play. You need to know what filter are you putting in, what kind of filter, and how they do interact with your report. It's not, don't throw a filter for the sake of it. Sometimes you don't need any filter. You can do visual filtering. Okay, because if you put filter and then they break your report, what is the point?
So would you guys prefer to see the visuals filter the table, but the table doesn't filter the visuals, yeah?
I would probably go with that approach, yeah. Because filtering from the visuals still makes sense, because I can have, for example, focus on different rating groups, I can focus on languages, and the table is going to adapt to it. But as soon as I select something on a filter, it's only going to pass out a single row, which of course is going to result in one column, one row, one line point. And thank God these are columns. If this would be a line, you would just have, just a blank space, because you can't really create a line from a single dot. So it's always about just playing around. And we and Federico are going to tell you this, trust me, hundreds of times, even on the next webinars. Make sure you play around with all the visuals that you create. Just play around with them. Click on them, see how they interact, see what happens on the report page. Because the last thing you want to do is create visuals that just break the experience for the user.
They don't know if they did something wrong. They think they broke the report. They are going to call you, sorry, what happened? And they break it? Okay, so that is what they think about it. Go to the page 1, please, if you don't mind, Aivis.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go to the field parameter average income.
Yep.
And then in the filter, you play book. Well, yeah, I already have it, no?
I can do this.
There you go. It's totally gone. You go empty space. You go one chart in there that does nothing. And only one data point, one nice green ball or circle, okay, in the other chart. So you need to think about that, guys. Seriously, the first thing I do, and I'm going to repeat it, every time you put a report on LinkedIn, it's breaking it. I'm going to try to break it by using your filter. And as soon as I break it, I start looking at your report. Okay, so special attention.
Trust me, as harsh as it might seem, that's the first thing that you're going to learn once you start developing reports is people have this unique power of just breaking everything. It doesn't matter how many years you have of experience. They're just going to find that one combination of things that's just going to break everything. So it's up to you to make sure that there's fewer of those cases that could possibly pop up.
I mean, one thing I'd just like to add is,
sure,
I get a bit obsessive about sort of white space and spacing.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you can see in the top left, you've got total games and total developers KPI.
Yeah.
Now, the space from the top of the border to the top of the sort of the background is far smaller than it is to below it. So I always like to see consistent spacing, and also it's larger than the icons as well. So I would like to see that same size. And then you've also got the select value to change viz calculation text, which isn't just in the next box.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like it's just been squeezed in there. And it looks that way. And also you look at the spacing on the left-hand side, it's jammed against the left-hand side. So I always like to see sort of consistent white space across the whole report. So it's the same with text and visuals, etc. Nice alignment, because these things just tend to look a bit off. So it's attention to detail, I think, is important.
Yeah. And trust me, it's better than you hear it from us than from your actual report users afterwards, because it's going to hurt a lot more. From us, we're just here to take a chat, right? So don't have to worry about it. But yeah, nevertheless, it's a great report. It has interesting features inside of it. So congratulations on getting into the top 5. And let's go to the next one. So the next submission that has gotten itself into the top 5 belongs to Jason Carl Martin Tupas. So congratulations, Jason, to you for getting into the top 5. Now let's open up the report and take a closer look at it. And I think this one is gonna be for Federico, you and David.
Okay, don't move from there.
Okay, going back, refreshing. Yeah.
I don't want to go through Aivis. I don't want to go through the tool. How do I get out?
You don't. You just go through it.
I had to go through it. So
Absolutely.
every morning when I go to the office, sit down, I had to go through the
Absolutely.
report once and again, and because we forgot to put a button to get me off the report. That is my issue. Apart from that, the report is fantastic. Hey, it was layout, have a nice color palette. I don't know about the shadows. I think it's too pronounced in my personal view. And I know that for some people with photosynthetic something, actually these big shadows are not good at all. We know Jason knows his business. We know Jason knows his tricks. Now my challenge to Jason is next time, make one simpler, just for me. Make it as simple as possible. Something that I don't need to drive myself crazy to navigate through it. Okay? Then I think he put some buttons on top of the card, because you can actually also click on them. And when you click on them, it takes you to another page that I didn't want to take me to any page. I just want to click on them. But you're not telling me that by clicking there, I'm going to another page. How do I know? By clicking there, and people is going to click. We like to click. Okay, so something telling me, hey, if you click here, I will take you there. Okay, it would have been nice. I don't know if in the report thingy, in the progress, is in there. 1 second, go a step back. No.
Sure.
No, it doesn't say. Another thing, thank you for opening that. Open the filter.
Yep.
That if set up any filter, just the release date, whatever you want. That's okay. And now close it. And now you carry on doing your business. and sometimes you say the information doesn't make sense, open another filter. The filter now is reset. It didn't reset before.
No, it stayed the same. It only resets after you click on clear.
Okay, so as soon as I leave, I want my filter to reset. Because I'm going to be carrying information. I want to carry on seeing the information as a whole, no filter. If I want to filter, I will use my filter. But if I go back and I see the information a little bit weirdly, the number doesn't match up, I'm going to have to spend 5 minutes looking why. What did I do? Oh, gee, I got a filter applied to. So, as good looking at pop-up filter are, I prefer to have my filter. I think David mentioned that before. In my view, I need to see my filter and what is filter for. Apart from that, another excellent job from Jason. Just trying to the challenge, make the next report simpler. Show me something that, Federico, is that simple enough? Is that simple enough? It's so simple, it's stupid, simple. And if you get me there, you are my tribe, you are my bunch. David?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots to really like, I think, here. I mean, you can tell, is it Jason's report, is it?
Yeah, Jason's.
Yeah, he's got a lot of skill. I think I agree with you, Federico, which is, something that doesn't happen that often. No, I'm joking, actually. The shadows probably a bit much. I think it just needs to be a bit more subtle. I do like the hierarchy of text he has on the visuals. So you've got the bolder font for the titles, and then you've got a lighter or unbolded, smaller font below it as a subtitle. I think that's really good, and I think people don't utilize that often, so it looks really good. I think in terms of the formatting of the KPIs, do we really need to know it's 4.06? Could that be one decimal? And then you've got an average rating count per app, which is in thousands. So you've got the total apps is the whole figure. Then you've got a rating count per app at 3K. That middle one just seems a bit doesn't seem to fit in with how the rest of them are formatted, because they've all got like 2 decimal points, more or less, etc. Mm-hmm. I do think that even though the tour that you go into, when you look at these reports, it's not. I just wish it could be slightly more obvious which KPI you're viewing at the moment, because I think he does highlight it with the border around the KPI to say this is what is selected, but maybe something in the header bar that would say you are viewing average price per app, etc., might make it slightly more obvious. But I'm picking here, really. I think it's a very good report, so I like it.
Absolutely. And also like this approach where if there are certain questions that you have the report that you can still investigate certain areas and you can focus on them. But through this, you can just quickly get an answer to that question. It takes you to the page where it's supposed to be and it answers your question. So that's an interesting approach as well. From my side, the only other thing that I had when I was looking at the report is colors. Make sure that all colors are readable and easy to understand. Well, this looks good on a visual. If you look at the tooltip, you can see that because on the way on how our tooltip is getting generated, the light blue is pretty much almost invisible. So just make sure that you always double check everything, the tooltips, the navigation, everything for the visuals, because every slightest little detail, people are going to judge you based on that. Go ahead.
One thing I would add is he's got a great use of space. It's all consistent.
Yeah.
The same space between the top and the sides of the visuals. So, he's taken a lot of care and attention to it. So, yeah, I like that a lot. It's very good.
Absolutely. But yeah, from my side is just pay a little bit more attention to the colors. Make sure the number formatting is there, so it's easier for everybody to sort of have familiarity with things. The highlight for the cards, either you do a title, or I would probably even take the same primary color that you have in every single page, because you color coded them already. So just have a color coded line underneath it to kind of emphasize that this is the page that it's coming from, or the card where it's based from.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a good report. Congratulations to you, Jason. But I swear to God, Jason, if you make me go through the guided tour one more time last time, me and Federico are just going to disqualify you.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Right. Okay. In defense, I'll come to bat for Jason.
Okay.
It looks really good, apart from when you see a flash of the page. Because I was being quick this morning and thinking, I'm in the now. Oh no, what's happened? But
yeah.
I think design-wise, it really looks great. But you're right, it does need I've seen the tour, just give me the data now, please button. So
yeah, because I have nothing against it. It looks good, and it allows the user to understand how to use it. But can you imagine getting back to work every single day, and this would be your daily report, and you have to go through that guided tour, even though you've been using the report for a month? It would be annoying. So just give me the option of skip. That's it. That's all I'm asking for.
I don't need any more reasons to be grumpy in the morning. So give me one less.
All right. So congratulations to you, Jason, once again. And let's
really
go to the next report. So the next report is going to come from Steven Sanford. So congratulations to you, Steven. Let's open it up and take a closer look at it. So let's open up the embedded version. The reason why I'm just opening up the embedded versions is because when you put reports in iframes, they're always going to be a little bit squeezed up. When you open up the embedded version, it just makes everything a little bit easier to read and use. That's one of the reasons, again, why we recommend you to play around with different screen sizes, different environments when you're publishing your reports, because if something works good in Power BI Desktop, it doesn't mean that it's going to be looking good on Power BI Services. You have to double check things. All right, so for this one, the one thing that I liked about it is this approach of having the ability to define whether I want to look at free and unused apps, free and used apps, not purchased, purchased apps, and that sort of stuff. But the tricky part about this, or the sort of one point that started to, kind of annoy me in a sense, is for the donut chart. If you have the possibility of looking at everything, and the $0 based category is so massive, maybe try to separate the report into two different views. So basically one where you're focusing on the paid portion of it, and the other one when you're focusing on not paid as a general term. So purchased is one thing, not purchased, those are including also free and paid, free and used. So because free and used, for example, right now, if you open it up, not very useful in a sense, right? So just play around with the slicers again, guys. Don't worry if it's going to break something. You just take a look at it and see what you can do about it. The other thing about this report is I like the fact that you have different KPI metrics on different views, but at the same time, I would really appreciate if you would give us a bit more dimensions. Because currently, let's say this is going to be 100%, right? So about 60 to 70% of the report is taking only by timeline. There were more dimensions in the report. You had different genres, subgenres. You could even create your own subgroups. Because don't forget, the report sample that we give to you is just the basis. You can enhance it with any additional information that you've seen feasible. Anything that allows you to kind of create a better data story, go for it. So one of the things that I was kind of really looking for is to kind of have a bit more flexibility here. Because otherwise what's going to happen is as soon as I try to interact with one of them, well, that's going to pass out a filter to everything else and have the same year everywhere else, right? That's the tricky part. You don't want to have the same dimension everywhere. What I would have probably done, since the approach is exactly the same, you're actually using the same series, the same values, I would have probably gone with a single time series or combo chart that represents years and use a field parameter. and just allow the user to choose what he's interested in right now. That would allow you to utilize the other space that would now be blank with some other visuals, with some other dimensions. Other than that, I think it's a good one. The info overlay, honestly, I would have probably wanted something that would emphasize on which, for example, visual or to which part it kind of is meant for. A little bit of guidance to as a new user. That's one thing. And the other thing is, which is very tricky, but there's a reason why you see, for example, in every other report, because me and Federico have talked about this as well a lot of times. When you open up something like this, if you don't give it some sort of a background or a shape on top of it, the users can start to interact with it. And now the info overlay is still available and still there. So it's just one of those things that I would probably make sure that if you give some sort of additional information, don't allow the user directly to afterwards interact with the report. That's my opinion. The year selection, I think we have enough years, right? We have 3 different charts. We don't need another year slicer. That's one of the things. And if we go to the analysis page, so for this one, I generally like the feeling of it, in a sense that it's not too overcrowded, but I would probably just put these a little bit to the side and give the combo bar a little bit more room to breathe, because otherwise it feels like it's getting squashed.
Okay, get rid of it. It doesn't do nothing there. Find a space, find room.
Because the main thing is you don't want to leave a report in a state where things feel like they're just jammed in because I wanted to make sure it's there, but it doesn't really have enough room, right? Maybe use field parameters to switch between something, find the room, but not by just plucking things in. Other than that, I like the fact that you're focusing on revenue and ROI, which isn't necessarily something that you noticed other reports doing. So that's an interesting approach here as well. Go ahead.
The title are too close to the box. I'm trying to find the name when you can actually the spacing. What is that called, David? Gapping the gap. You have.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name in Power BI now. When you open the formatting pane, I normally do. Yeah, I normally do 10 each side, top, bottom, blah blah. If I am short of room, I give it 5, but that makes it like more part of the chart and it's not close to the border. If you go to the second page, that is the second page. Don't move.
Yep.
Open the year. The filter. Okay, select. Can you see that is select? Whoa, I'm missing something. What is that?
It's select all, yeah.
Okay, go to click on 2008, and now no purchase.
No purchase.
Broken. Okay. I think one of the lessons of today, guys, padding. Thank you, Fernando. Padding, correct. And one of the lessons today, guys, is the importance, of filtering like a king. I'm preparing a presentation for an event in Spain, and it's called that, filtering like a king. Okay? Remember, filters are important. Users like to filter. But they get lost because the filter broke anything. They don't know what happened. Okay? So before you deliver your work, play an hour and a half with all the filter. Play all the filter. Look, this break that. Stop interaction. This one do that. Oh, do I need a filter? Because I cannot stop the interaction because I want that to interact with that. Okay, I'm going to change the filter or I'm not going to use this filter. Filter should be one of the first things we think about it when we are going to put in a report. What we want the report to be filtered by. Okay, I think that it's something for you guys to remember. Don't do the report or just throw the filter is what I want the report to be filtered with, and I'm going to check all this interaction. Apart from that, it's a beautiful what is Mr. Stanford? What his name?
Steven Stanford.
Yeah, Steven has been with us now for about a year. I remember his first report and this report now, and the growth is massive, okay, in that period of time. So excellent report. I love the color palette. Yeah, tweaking this couple of little things we are telling you here, Steve, okay, to make a better report.
Yeah,
Can I
absolutely.
Jump in if that's
absolutely,
right? Yeah. I always prefer to have my legends in the top left-hand corner. So I think there's a lot of information in his titles and the subtitles. I don't really want to have to read that and then have to look down to the key and back up. I'd rather sort of read sort of downwards. And because there's quite a lot of information in the titles, I mean, it'd be great in the donut charts if do we need to see it to two decimal places? That's, it's more cognitive overload. And then one of the charts has the axis on the side. So I've got a bad neck, so I don't really I never think you should have to turn your head to the side to start reading the categories. I think it's in the analysis tab.
Yeah, this one.
The bottom right. Yeah, I think that should really be
it's a neck breaker, they call it.
Yeah, I'm getting old, Federico. I can't help,
Yeah.
Can't bend it anymore. It's like stuck.
Like bacon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so lots to like though.
Because one of the solutions for this would be, again, same as we talked about. You've actually done this on other report visuals already. Just make it a top of something. That's going to give you enough room for the visual to showcase certain categories and fit the name horizontally. That's going to be all fine. You don't have to go over the budget in a sense, right? But other than that, I think it's a good job. It's a great submission, and there's definitely been progress from Steven, so it's always good to see. The only other thing that I noticed now when I jumped into this page is the labels. They look good on the dark gray, but they don't look very good on the light blue.
Yeah,
so most probably add some sort of background or something like background shade or shadow or something to allow the user to properly notice the numbers. Other than that, congrats on getting into the top 5, and let's move on to the next one. So the next submission that has gotten itself into the top 5 comes from Ashkan Darby. So congratulations to Ashkan. So let's open up the report and take a closer look at it. So this one's on you, gentlemen. Who wants to start?
David, do I go? Okay, which one is that?
This is from Ashkan Darabi.
How did you get to that page?
It's the starting page.
And it says, let's begin.
No.
This page is only available when you refresh the report and go to it for the first time when you load in.
Okay, let me refresh that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, I like the page. If I don't know, I have to refresh it. I don't know. I will actually, how can I get there? And then let us begin, and then we go to the next page.
Yep.
Yeah, but in this case, I like it. That card in the middle, like coming out, and the to the side, quite PowerPoint-ish. Okay, I like it. Actually, it has 4 KPIs on the top. The background is nice with the black and gray title. That I haven't played much about it, but I think it's one of the simple reports that I like to see more often. Perhaps the gray on the top 5 and the average is a little bit, for a person with some eye problem like me, a bit light. So maybe that gray on the average and the top 5 a little bit up. But I loving it. Apart from the twisting my neck on seeing this label. And now think about you go to work and you want to read that properly. You are going to be like that for a few minutes. After that, you go to your work and going home, I go neck pain or whatever. I think that the one of the top 5 report is the one that I really, really like it because of the simplicity I'm talking about it. And there is not much to mess around. Actually, I'm trying to break it a little bit. Oh, I broke it. And, click on the free blue thingy.
Yep.
The donut. And income, top 5.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There is nothing there.
Federico just needs 2 to 3 clicks, guys. So you see, that's the pattern that we're getting here.
So I actually challenge everybody, send me a report and send Federico, break me. And if I don't break you, I send you $50. Remember that. Well, David in the $50, I just break it.
You better make some other rules because somebody's going to send you somebody's going to send you a report with 2 visuals and that's it.
No, you know what I think they need to know what I mean by. Yeah, go to the second page.
Yep.
Yeah, it's again the issue with the table or it's a table. You click on one, it breaks everything else. Yeah, the donut is one, the bubble.
One thing I could jump in, what do you call it, the visual in the middle and the top? What's it called again?
The decomposition tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Decomposition tree.
Now, that's always useful for analysis, but I never like to see it where you have to scroll down and you can't see everything. I think I like to see it all, but that's just a personal point of view. I think it's just it's hidden. It's like, I think if it's a bar chart, you have to scroll down. There's lots of values. That's fine, but I think something like this is.
And I think that, David, if I'm not wrong, this visual is AI generated, so use AI.
I think AI is a bit stretchy.
Be careful, sometimes give you wrong numbers or doesn't tell you where you are supposed to go or you were supposed to want it to go. So be careful. It's nice. You open up. But
Could we quickly go back to the front page if that's all right?
Absolutely.
I think it's visually really a lot to like. Obviously, the same thing as Federico. The chart titles that are in the faded grey need to be not that faded or stronger. I do like the effect with the middle chart, but the only thing is that chart dominates the whole page. But I just think that I think maybe could you have an effect where you click on the top 5 and that get brought forward? I don't know, but I just think having that one at the front all the time just dominates. Which if that's the intention, then great. But I don't have to turn my neck again. It's getting very sore now. So, but I mean, there's a lot of style. I like the KPIs and the small trend charts and stuff. So there's a lot to like.
For me, the one thing that I really liked was this sort of approach. I haven't seen a lot of use cases for, not a lot of use cases, but not a lot of applications for this. So when you, for example, open up the filter panel, you get the primary filters, but you can actually open up to get more filters. I think it's an interesting approach that definitely could work for some use cases. Not maybe every single one of them, but there are applications where this might be useful, where you just provide the primary filters on the initial click, but they can open up additional ones if they want to. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, you can do 3 or 4 different hierarchies of filtering by opening one and then the other and then the other. So
that's definitely an interesting one. And the same approach here. So where you created a waterfall with the income statement itself. But the issue with the report page tooltip, guys, is remember, the most important part about it is you cannot interact with it. What the author has done here is he made sure that he added a card because I want to know what's the number at the end. Without the card, this report page tooltip would be useless because I don't know how much that is. I can see it going up year by year, But if I don't see the final number or anything, what's the use of it, right? Because you cannot interact with this. Well, you can for a brief second, but it's just going to run away from you. So be careful when you create report page tooltips. But I like it. Other than that, yeah, I agree. I think it's a great report. The one thing that I really appreciate about this one is its simplicity. It's simple and efficient. It provides you with the main answers to the questions that you might have regarding to the data set. But yeah, make sure you play around with your visuals, because like Federico already showed you guys, 2 clicks and you can break everything. Well, not everything, but half of the report. So just make sure that you play around with these. Other than that, it's a great job, and I think it's time to go to the last submission that has gotten into the top 5. So the last submission that has gotten itself into the top 5 comes from Onkar Bichet. So congratulations to Onkar. Let's open it up and take a closer look at it. And I can tell you easily, without a doubt, my favorite feature about this is I like the fact that there is an introduction view, but I would probably make it even less transparent.
Yeah, I agree.
Because initially it kind of feels like, did it not properly load? Did it freeze? It feels like it's not fully there manifested. So just make it a little bit less transparent. Otherwise, it's a great approach. It gives you a quick oversight of everything. And the feature that I love about the whole report the most, there's a lot of things that I like about it, but it's this one. It's quite simple, but see right here next to the filters, you see a 0. That's because no filters have been applied. As soon as you apply the filter, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to apply 2 filters, apply, close it. It's going to show me how many filters I have applied. It's a small, subtle little detail, but it's something that allows the user to, for example, first of all, understand that there is something already pre-filtered, that I have filtered out something.
I like that.
We've seen different implementation on this. For example, if I remember correctly, the name Prathamesh was the author of the reports, where he usually made a table, and the table showcased all the filters being applied directly. So he had a separate table which showed you the category and what filters have you applied, the year and what filters you have applied. It was the dynamic one. So take a look at that as well. But this one is also a really nice, subtle approach on how to showcase the filters. So I really like this. You have also, I'm going to clear everything back so I can go back to the initial view. I have the possibility of choosing the metric, which is what I said. You could theoretically use 10 different basically timelines, but there's no need for it. You're just using field parameters to allow the user to choose the main primary value that you're sort of interested in. You have few different views for different other variables. So for example, entertainment and strategy. The only other thing that I would probably reconsider is, remember guys, as soon as you have color, one thing you have to double check is if that color doesn't give you a feeling that it represents something. Because if it's a single color for everything, okay, but as soon as you start to create a diversion between the colors, this is what might happen. If I take a look at it, I can see that entertainment is in gray, strategy is in blue. This means that English is a strategy objective. Straight away. Don't care if it's true, don't care if it's not, it's what the data tells me. Well, it's what the visuals are telling me. So be very cautious about highlighting certain things in the same colors as you have somewhere else. You can still follow the same color palette, but be very careful when you sort of create a legend, because legend creates association. So just be careful with that. Because for example, if I choose Chinese, you can see, oh, actually, even though the whole bar is gray, I actually have also some blue parts right here. So just be cautious about that. That's one thing. The other thing is, I like the fact that you created a year-over-year change, but I have one major issue with it. And this isn't just for your report. This has been done in many reports even before this challenge. We've talked about this with Federico as well. Right now, I'm looking at countless number of years. What year-over-year is this? First, last, which year? What am I comparing? What does this number represent? Is it the average currently? What is it? It's not year over year. It's a metric of sort of an aggregate version of it.
Or yeah.
I don't know. Because if I select a particular year, now I can get the year over year. But prior to that, I'm looking at, in this case, I think we had up to 19. So I'm looking at 11 years. So which years are you comparing? So be careful with these. And the best solution for this is quite simple. In the measure itself, create additional either if variable or a switch function, which tells you, hey, if you're looking at more than a single year, provide just nothing. Provide some sort of a textual explanation. Or a blank. Blank is going to work as well. Don't provide something that doesn't really tell me the whole story. That's one of the things.
I just quickly add, if you're going to have those, when you hover over the year-on-year number, turn off the visual header.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to have something there. Just when things pop up, it's distracting.
Yeah.
So unless it's got a function, get rid of it. But I love how you set the KPIs. Design-wise, they look lovely. But your point on
absolutely
year-on-year is, well, yeah, which year is it? So.
And the one fact that I can appreciate even more, he actually went through the same struggles as we did before, guys. Because if he has the visual headers, it means it's not the new card. He actually created this by creating separate elements. And that's what we were doing before we got the new cards. So we know the struggle, trust me. But yeah, just make sure that you always disable any visual headers for elements that do not need any visual headers. Like KPI cards, you don't, because otherwise, again, right? What does this help me to do? Nothing. Unless there is a purpose for it, get rid of it. But yeah, that's one of the things. If we go through other pages, I like that it's still in the same sort of color palette. Everything follows the same principle. We have additional. This part was one that was a little bit confusing to me, right? When I open up this, it sort of gives me a feeling of an insight, but then it kind of tells me go to a report, which makes me feel that I'm going to go to a different report. But it's just a quick sort of thought process. I understand that it's going to take me to the same one, but probably go back to the report or something. Go to the report makes me feel that I'm going to go somewhere else. Other than that, clear filters button. There's an informational starting page, which is good. So I have really nothing against it. The only other thing is whenever you create a search, make sure that this one is a search. So disregard my comment. Yeah, but whenever you make a slicer,
click on the first developer.
First developer. I clicked on the second one. I selected two. I'm stressing. There we go.
Yeah, broke.
Stop it, Federico.
But it's the first thing I'm gonna do. I got text. But that's it. I actually like the report too very much. I think it have a nice color palette. I'm not very convinced about the icon that take you to the report overview, the ball, to be at the bottom there. It had to be at the top.
Yeah. It looks like page navigation.
That is for that. And then the rest is about the pages. But apart from that, it's a very good report.
No, yeah. Lots of
Aivis, who is the winner?
I don't know.
Let's do the.
Yeah, Federico, you announce it.
Let's do the drum roll, but before we do that, let me just hide my screen for a second because I need to open up the right one, and I can't really move between the pages because otherwise you're going to see what I'm looking for. So just do the drum roll whilst I'm finding the correct page. And the winner is sharing the right screen. See, Jason Call,
Jason Call, congratulations, Jason.
Congratulations, Jason. You won this month's challenge. So in our opinion, you had the best report. Sure, there are things that you can improve upon, but trust me, there's not a single report that cannot be improved. Every single one of them can be improved. There's different ideas, different perspectives that you always have to take into consideration. I don't know. I don't remember the last time when I created a report where even I thought that, yeah, it's perfect. There's nothing more that I can do about it. So
my report can be broken. My report are bad. I'm not all the time on 100% points, so I'm not gonna feel bad if I am entering a challenge. I made something bad because I'm practicing. What I want is to learn, guys, and I repeat that very often, all the time. I am the person in this room that have participated in more challenges Absolutely. Okay, and I only won a handful.
I've only done one.
Okay, and won it. Okay, so remember, guys, what is important participation is what you gain, how you improve, okay, and how your next report is better and better. Absolutely. And that's it. Congratulations, Jason. Guys, in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I also posting the winner for the FP20 Analytics. That David and I is a different category, that is ZoomCharts. So in about 10 minutes, it will be in LinkedIn too, so be alert.
Yeah. David, any last words?
No, it's been really fun. It's been really interesting to see just the different, lots of great reports and lots of great ideas. Some things I hadn't really thought of, like the little indicator for the filters, the number. I thought that was really smart. Little things like that, So no, it's really enjoyable. It's been great. So thank you for inviting me, and it's been great to see all the submissions and the functionality of the Zoom charts and stuff. So it's been good fun, and it's always good fun to speak to Federico anyway. So
thank you, David, for coming. Thank
Anytime.
you for being a friend.
No worries, mate. Same right back at you.
All right. Well, that wraps everything up. So thank you so much for coming today. I hope the session itself was interesting and you got something useful out of it. And if not, then, well, let us know about it in the feedback form, right? And don't forget that the feedback form allows you to get into the draft for the book from Pact. So that's another incentive that you got there. All right, everyone. Have an amazing day, the rest of the day in front of you, and catch you in the next workshop.
Take care, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
See you, everyone.